You're all clearly biased and or mentally unstable. What a waste of almost 2 hours. This was awful. Just stop.
Please.
But what's the critique?
Other than the Weird Al music, there is not one positive thing to say.
I don't know. Daniel Radcliffe was pretty decked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude's
what
ripped.
is wrong with all of you? I love Weird Al, but this was worse than the Scary Movie sequels. I've never seen those.
Scary Movie
actually.
2 is fantastic. That's got the strong hand in it.
Like, I get it's a parody, but I thought parodies were supposed to be funny. This was not. I, for the life of me, cannot understand how all of you people giving this 9 or 10 stars are legally allowed to participate in society's day-to-day responsibilities.
Oh my gosh.
Like driving, voting, or procreating. Sad day for society.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That was a 1-star review from IMDb. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Steven, joined as always by Andrew.
Hello.
And over there is Ryan.
Hello.
And in case you didn't get it from that review, we are talking about Weird, the Al Yankovic Story. Yankovic. I always mess up his last name. And you know what? It's okay because we're just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
So this came out very recently on the Roku channel.
Yep. For free.
Something I didn't know existed. Like, oh, you just watch it on the Roku channel. Like, so do I need a Roku? No, you just go to the Roku channel and there it is.
Yeah. It's really weird. So we actually couldn't watch it on our LG TV, but then Samsung, I guess, has a deal with them.
They do, yeah.
To where you can watch it through them, through their app or whatever.
Okay.
And it's just, you do get ads like throughout the film.
Yeah.
But they're like 30 seconds long.
So I think that's interesting because I went into just literally like on a webpage, the Roku channel, and just, watched it on my computer.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it's this long and there's going to be ads. There were no ads.
What?
I don't remember a single ad in that movie.
I got ads. We watched it on our Roku. We got like 2 Rokus in the house just because we have old TVs that are way before the smart, TV revolution. So we just plug them into
Is one
those.
of them a plasma?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was
No.
me.
Yeah.
So
I always wanted a plasma though, so don't.
You don't want a
I
plasma.
never got
I gave
one.
my plasma
Those inky
TV
blacks.
away. Yeah, it had great contrast.
Yeah.
So yeah, your viewing experience may vary just from that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't sign up. I was just a guest. I fully expected, I'm going
Like
to
a
get
ton of ads.
blasted by ads for this. And they're like, even in the little timeline at the bottom, you could see the little marks where the ad should play. They just didn't play. And I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that's because I watched it on Google Chrome with an ad blocker installed.
It's possible.
And it just dominated
Did it
Roku.
cut to black every now and then?
No.
Did nothing?
Oh,
I don't
weird,
think so,
yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
So I don't know. Maybe ad blocker may be just amazing. I don't know.
The best ad blocker on
Ever,
earth.
yeah. But anyways, before we just keep blathering on about this, we figured since it is Weird Al, and I do believe all 3 of us are big fans.
I am, yeah.
I would say I'm probably not as big as you guys. I've
You
never
are the
seen him
least.
live,
Oh,
You're
man.
the least of the fans.
Yeah.
but I'm still a fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew and I actually saw him live in concert here at a
man.
time where he and I barely knew each other. So we were in like different balconies to
Yeah.
know that we were both at the concert. So yeah, we figured we would talk about maybe our favorite or one of our favorite Weird Al songs because this
Yeah.
movie is big on the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his whole career is kind of big on the song.
That's his whole
It's
thing.
almost like
Yeah.
that's what he does as a career.
Yeah.
So I made a big list here because I was concerned that I would get sniped.
I had a lot of alternates on mine
Yeah,
just in case.
But I'm going to toss it out to Andrew first.
Okay, there's basically, I doubt any of you guys would have grabbed the one that I'm going to pick.
Go for it then.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
Bring
so
it on.
my favorite is from the Running with Scissors album.
Okay.
Not the Star Wars one. Just
I
gonna go
was
ahead
wondering. I was like, would Andrew,
No,
like that feels too obvious.
No, All About the Pentiums.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
I love, so it's
That's
a
a good
parody
one.
of All About the Benjamins, which from some random rapper. And I love this song so much. I know every single word to it.
oh my God.
And whenever it comes on, it is a song that is never skipped.
Yeah.
Ever. It's just, you just listen to the whole thing, regardless of whatever the
All the way
scenario
through,
is.
every
Yeah.
time.
And
And it's making fun of a Puff Daddy song, right? The Benjamins.
is
Or
it?
all-
Yeah.
Is
I
that
think-
he just said some random rapper?
I don't know. rapper
Andrew
names.
is very, very pale. Just gonna say that now.
Hey, I like Run DMC. Okay.
That's a good.
That's
choice.
the whitest thing anyone's ever said.
But yeah, I love this song, and I remember the first time I got to go see Weird Al was down at the Alabama Theater in right after the Running with Scissors album came out. So I was like in 8th grade.
So what year are we talking about?
Like 98, 99, somewhere around there. And so Alabama Theater, I brought my album so he could sign it.
Oh wow.
And he played the whole like front to back album for Running with Scissors, which is still one of my favorites that he's done.
Yeah.
He even did the full 12-minute Albuquerque track at the end.
Oh wow.
Which he actually stopped doing that later tours because it's such a task and it's really hard on the band.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So it is Puff Daddy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Or Sean Combs. I think he prefers
for those keeping score.
Well, I think he prefers that now, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's Puff Daddy. He'll always be Puff Daddy to me.
You'll always be my Puff Daddy.
So at the end of the night, at the end of the concert, everyone's kind of filing out, and I was, me being the eighth grade, or 7th grade, I was like, oh man, I'm sad I didn't get to meet Weird Al and get to, have him sign my album. And we were just walking out of the Alabama Theater, and you're going down the street, and there's like a little alleyway, and kid you not. It is just Weird Al, no bodyguards, nothing, with a fold-out table just in there, and he's just like in this alleyway,
just tucked away.
Hey guys, anyone want to come? I'll sign stuff. We can just hang out and talk. Like I kid you not, this is exactly.
This may not have been sanctioned by Alabama Theater. He's like, I got the table. I'll just set it up.
They're like, you're not allowed to sell merch here. He's like, screw you, I'll go in the alley.
Yeah. So it was right next to his tour van or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just him. And he just had a little fold-out table.
That's awesome.
With just a Sharpie. That's it. Like nothing else. Like no merch, anything. Just like.
So I'll sign what you brought, but he didn't have anything to sell.
Yeah, nothing to sell or anything like that. And so me and my dad were like one of the first ones out of the theater. And he was just like, hey guys, anyone want to, talk and hang out? And so we just went back there. He signed my thing. Man. We had a little fun conversation. And, by this point, there's, a massive line of people behind us. And it was just one of the coolest experiences because he felt like such a down-to-earth guy from that. Yeah. And then, of course, the other times that I've seen him in the previous year or following years, you have to go and pay, the $125 ticket.
It's gone to his head. Yeah, it's blowing up.
But he's got to make the money. But this, this is still, it wasn't even early in his career at this point.
No, Running with Scissors, which it was a big album for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had multiple albums at that point.
He did. Yeah.
He had multiple big hits at that point.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So my runner up, just in case this was sniped.
Yeah, give me some honorable mentions.
It would definitely be. I love all of his polka melodies of just the songs, and it's not actual parodies. It's just him singing the lyrics. I love just really any of those are always really fun.
Andrew, a polka fan. I didn't expect that.
I
Put it down. Add it to the canon.
Yep.
I love Albuquerque. That I can almost recite the entire thing to the beat just the whole time.
Really?
It's just fantastic.
Wow.
Ryan?
I'm going to go a little more modern.
Yeah.
I had a lot to pull from, and I was trying to be different. I didn't want to go with the most cliche.
We were all really considered are we all the same people?
Right. And so I went with 2006. The album was straight out of Linwood.
Yeah.
White and Nerdy.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's I avoided that because I knew it was going to get sniped.
There are very few Weird Al songs that are bad.
Sure. Yeah.
I would almost argue there aren't. I can't think of any.
Yeah.
So this song parodies Riding by Chameleonaire and Crazy Bone, sorry. And I remember when it came out, I was working at a place and I pulled it up and was watching it on, the computer. And at this place of work, one of the coolest dudes that worked there walked by and is that you? Talking about when he's in the nerdiest outfit, walking out of the front yard. And I go, what? I don't look anything like that. I thought I didn't, but apparently to him, I was white and nerdy. And so that became my anthem after that. I was like, is that you in that video? I was like, that's it. It's a really good song, though.
It is.
It is a great
I like
song.
it a lot.
Yeah.
You got any honorable mentions?
I Love Rocky Road was my favorite as a kid.
That's a good
because Rocky Road's my favorite ice cream.
And you can sing it.
And I can sing it, yeah. And as a kid, I mean, I grew up in the 80s baby here. Weird Al was everywhere. I was a huge fan of any 80s comedy persona. Elvira, Pee Wee Herman, Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm there.
Line 'em
I'm
up.
here for it. Line them up.
He wore out the UHF tape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a big Weird Al fan back in the day.
Yeah.
Just from like, again, I didn't even buy my own music at the time, but when I saw Weird Al,
Mom.
like the movie UHF,
Yeah.
like my parents would rent that and I'd watch it. Loved it. But yeah, so I Love Rocky Road is always one because I did love Rocky Road at the time. So it spoke to me on a level. And then Eat It. Eat It was another big
That's
one
just a classic.
back in the day.
you know.
It's hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Steven?
What about you?
So I will say it is impressive, right? We saw him in concert, what, 5 years ago, 6
About
years,
5
something
years,
like that.
yeah.
And they do all costume changes for every song.
Oh, wow.
And in between, because they have to change clothes, they play clips of Weird Al just in culture, basically. Just like on The Simpsons or in this TV show, or he's mentioned in this. And it's kind of impressive. You're like, man, this guy has had a ton of cultural influence. Like, he's been around forever.
Yeah.
But I got to go with something that disappointed me because they played it as part of a medley, and they didn't play just this song.
Yeah.
2011's Party in the CIA.
I know you.
I love this song. I love this song. I love this video. The art for this video is phenomenal.
That is the other half of the coin with half of these. Is like
the music videos
you have
are
to watch the music video with a lot of these songs to really like get it. Like some of them are elevated, just like the Bond openings, like by the visuals.
It helps a lot.
But for All About the Pentiums, you have Drew Carey.
I gotta cut Andrew off here. If you haven't checked it out, we do have a Patreon bonus episode where we review, rate, and argue, and I mean bicker, about Bond openings. That is $1 a month. Shameless shill achieved. Sorry, Andrew.
No, it's fine. I was just talking about the actual topic here.
Yeah.
Got it.
But no, so like All About the Pentiums is Drew Carey as the hype rapper in the background, and then one of the things I always loved about The Saga Begins is that he wrote that before he saw the film.
Exactly how the film went.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so Party in the CIA, great. You know, we're parodying Party in the USA, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, which is still a good song.
I think that's one of the keys to his success, right? None of his songs, he's like, I'm gonna pick some obscure artist and some terrible music and make it work.
Yeah.
Just,
so, well, in the film, they kind of jest about the Yankovic bump, which is where whenever he comes out with a parody song, people actually get a push in their own record sales, which actually is a thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. And Nirvana has credited him for selling like over an extra 1 million copies whenever he did not Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Smells Like Nirvana.
It was his cover of Chameleon or Chameleonaire, I think, or something like that.
Oh, I'm not sure.
But yeah, like
either way,
apparently like they credit him for doing that.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a real thing that does happen whenever he parodies other people's songs.
Yeah.
Now I will say honorable mentions for me, Word Crimes.
Oh, Word Crimes is
just because
phenomenal.
That is a phenomenal example of just writing. Like
that whole
cow.
album is just great.
And then just because it is an insane song and you can't play it on stage, Trapped in the Drive-Thru just kills me.
That's the one making fun of the R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet.
I don't know if it's making fun of anything.
I think it's 12, just spoken word.
12 and a half minute song.
Yeah. Well, the Trapped in the Closet's a 12-minute song.
From then it is making fun of that, I'm sure.
Okay.
It must be at this point. I didn't realize that because, I don't know, I don't keep up with this kind of stuff.
I found out about Trapped in the Closet because of South Park when they made fun of it, and then I sought it out and watched it and was like, this is crazy.
Well, now I'm going to have to go look at that just to see and be like, oh yeah, it totally is. It probably is.
But yeah, the Trapped in the Drive-Thru music video or someone animated or something. Yeah. It is just absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah. If you can stand, 12 and a half minutes.
I can. Right. I love it.
I 100% can. Just the people around me probably can't. So
get off the bus if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Another one rides the bus and another one on and another one. Anyways, so back to the plot. We are talking about the parody rock biopic.
Biopic? It's biopic.
Biopic? How are you pronounce it? I've only ever seen
I always do biopic.
Yeah, it's biopic.
We can do biopic. That's kind of fun too.
I like biopic.
Look up whenever we did, I think, Howard Hughes or The Aviator. I did make sure that we were saying it right. It is biopic.
Biopic. Okay, well, now that we've confirmed that this has been your grammar lesson of the episode.
Like a eye problem. I got biopics.
Yeah, Bionicle from Lego.
My biopics. That's fair too. But so for this, we'll give a quick plot summary.
Yeah.
So this explores every facet of a Yankovic's life, From his meteoric rise to fame with early hits like Eat It and Like a Surgeon to his torrid celebrity love affairs and famously depraved lifestyle.
Which is the exact opposite of
if you know anything about Weird Al, we're already parody just with the synopsis. Like,
Yeah.
We're full into this the whole way. This is parody.
I haven't watched him, but I think he's been doing like press interviews with Daniel Radcliffe, and they've been talking about it like this is an actual documentary.
100%. Oh, yeah.
So they're committing to the bit, even in like, you know,
they're in
interviews and
character
stuff.
in interviews.
Yeah.
So because it's such a just full on, this is just a parody of basically any rock biopic.
Yeah.
Basically any that you have watched
Kind
about.
of mockumentary style.
Yeah, mockumentary style. What we discovered is this is very hard to assign scores to. So for this purpose of this review, we are not going to give scores. We're just going to give some pros, some cons, we're still going to talk about our categories, etc. Because there are some areas where this really shines and others where it would really struggle. Like, oh, let's put this up against Dune Part 1. Like, it's just not gonna fly. So this is going to be a little different from our standard format, but we're
Almost like it'll be weird.
Hey! Or a parody.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not really a parody, but yeah.
Don't ruin this. Come on, don't ruin this. So first, some stats and some interesting info, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Eric Appel. Apple?
Apple?
I don't know.
Appel? I'm not sure.
Probably Appel.
I'm gonna go with Appel, which you may know him from Silicon Valley, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or New Girl. Those are all TV shows, but he has.
Those are all very well thought of TV shows.
Right. They're really quite well
I
thought
love
of.
Silicon Valley, and I've watched a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I didn't finish it.
I've never seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a full episode, but the clips I've seen are always really funny.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, it's pretty consistently good. It's never like the funniest show ever, but it's like
Yeah,
pretty solid.
yeah, the floor is very high.
But but from the perspective of he does a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got the backing here. Music, ironically, Weird Al is not credited in the music. By Leo Byronberg and Zach Robinson. I butchered his last name.
Which is interesting because, like, so Weird Al does his own overdubbing of Daniel Radcliffe when he's performing the
singing.
song.
Yeah, so it's weird that he's not. But either way, so the big one that stood out for them, they both worked together on Cobra Kai.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So that's there's at least that's a recognizable name. There's a lot of stuff in there that I didn't pick up on, but I saw that. Okay, yeah, all right, they've done stuff.
Yeah,
because when I see these names, I'm like, I don't know who these people are. IMDb, help me. So it has a estimated budget of $8 million.
Okay,
and an estimated box office of nothing because it's streaming for free on the Roku channel.
For free. So this whole film was shot in 18 days.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. They blew through this thing.
Like,
I mean, I guess there are some film productions that are under a month. So I guess that makes sense for this.
But just 18 days is just absolutely hilarious.
That feels like, absurdly fast.
That does feel, and the speed of that and the budget definitely play into some factors.
It does.
When we were trying to be like, what? How do you score this? I don't know. I put scores down. I didn't like them, but we put them.
I didn't even put scores down because I was just like, I don't have any kind of like measuring stick for this.
I did scores, but I was like, I had to do my own internal rubric of like, okay, this is a 10 for absurd parody acting. What is this? How does this measure to this example?
How does this fit with, like Leo at his peak, right? Let's line this up.
Yeah, I didn't compare it to like Dune or anything else.
Also, though, if you want to see those scores Ryan and I wrote, if you're a Patreon subscriber for show notes level, it's there. I'm not erasing it. It's there. If you're somehow curious.
You can see it.
Man, that is 2 shills already from Steven.
We are warmed up. We're ready to fire off here. So, guys, before we have any kind of spoiler wall, spoiler-free, general thoughts?
Yeah?
Just that's a good thought. That's a great thought. Fully
I thought
formed.
it was delightfully absurd.
It's kind of insane.
I liked it a lot. I think I like how unhinged it was. I think if you're a fan of Weird Al, you already kind of know his humor. So imagine that, but filtered through like a fake biopic
for 2 hours.
Yeah,
it definitely takes a little bit to get used to the pacing of how the film kind of tells its jokes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Where there's not a lot of like straight punchlines.
Right. I will say, I feel like there was a lot of moments where it wasn't that I laughed because it was funny, but I just laughed because how much deeper can we go in this insanity?
Right, yeah. How absurd.
How committed can we be to
So
this?
I felt that actually wasn't like so. Kind of referencing back to UHF and the Weird Al show and that kind of like general light of like the mid '80s Weird Al.
Yeah,
I don't think this was unhinged enough.
I can see that.
I think it could have. I think they could have gone like one or two
Even
ticks
further.
a little bit further to make it for sure. Like even from the beginning, setting the pace of like this is going to be bonkers.
It's been a long time since I've watched UHF. I want to watch it again. But
Yeah.
I feel like you're right that like it could have probably gone a little further.
Yeah, like because it did feel like there was kind of in this weird middle ground where they weren't trying to be. They're trying to make it too serious of a parody.
Right.
Instead of being a Weird Al parody.
Just off the rails the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, like the other thing too, I would say is I think your knowledge of Weird Al probably dictates you probably
Your
get a lot
general
more
enjoyment.
out of it because like my wife is not a huge
Yeah.
fan of Weird Al or doesn't dislike him, but just
Yeah.
didn't grow up in the 80s like I did to
Mhm.
know a lot of to be like
Doesn't
you
have
know,
the context.
Yeah.
he's not a cultural touchstone for her like
Yeah.
he was for me, you know. And so I had to like explain a couple times throughout the movie of
Like
like
what the
oh,
joke was.
see, the joke here is that in reality, it's the exact opposite of what happened right here, you know, or you know, just to give some
Yeah.
context. And
Yeah.
so I think if you know a lot about Weird Al, you may get not that you can't get anything out of it. She laughed and had fun with it. It's just I think knowing more gets you in on some of the inside jokes because they go by fast sometimes.
Yeah, so I'll let you go here in just a second. Stephen.
Oh,
I know you're
wonderful.
chomping at the bit.
He keeps jumping up and down for audio listeners.
But so like Weird Al historically, because of his general upbringing, he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't drink, he doesn't like he has led a very non-controversial
It's just
lifestyle.
not. It is not.
Yeah.
It's a non-rock star lifestyle.
Yeah, so basically everything in this film that kind of shows up that is the standard rock star of, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't need you, you're not my band, you're not me, you know, those
Yeah.
kind of
Is
things.
the
Like
total opposite.
the exact opposite of how he actually is in real life.
So, from my perspective, I think a lot of the enjoyment in this is going to come not just from being very familiar with Weird Al,
Weird Al and generally
music,
his lyrics.
his lyrics. Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs with that. His life, but also I really think you need to be a fan of rock style documentaries of like these bands or
Like
biopics.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it would give you a leg up to understand what they're
but
making
especially
fun
within
of.
the
or-
music field, because that is what the whole parody is. You know, when you look at Mel Brooks and we got Spaceballs, well, you better at least have some familiarity with Star Trek and Star Wars, or there's a lot of stuff going on here that's going to go over your head. It's
Yeah.
same kind of world. It's just maybe a little more niche.
Yeah, so this a lot of people that I've kind of seen online said this is very much of a straight parody of the Doors documentary.
Mm.
I believe it.
Of just pretty much almost exactly
The Val Kilmer biopic one, that one, or the documentary?
I think the documentary.
Okay.
Him being on stage. There's the scene with him on stage, right?
Yeah.
With the police. And whatever. That is the Doors.
That's
Yeah,
from the Doors.
That is
yeah.
the Doors, like
Yeah.
100%. I don't know about the rest of it though.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think in the Doors he ever went to Columbia, and
that killed Pablo.
I don't want to say.
Well, hold on. We're not past the spoiler wall yet.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I
Slow
caught
down.
myself. I caught
Slow down.
myself.
there are
slow
things that happened that did not happen in the
It
Doors.
just didn't happen. Period.
So it's not a one-to-one, but it
Yeah.
is making
Yeah.
fun of a bunch of them, probably.
Mhm.
all at once.
Yeah, it's probably like if you sat down, someone's gonna make a list. Some epic Uber nerd
Oh, I'm
person
sure. Yeah.
has like this is the 15 biopics you should watch to understand all the jokes and weird or whatever. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is a fun film. I don't know, like, it's hard to say like who this is for. Besides, just if you're a Weird Al fan, you probably
Yeah.
enjoy
Give
it.
give it a shot, right? I mean, I just don't know. I don't know if it's gonna hit. Like, it's got all the jokes are gonna land as cleanly as maybe you might think.
Yeah.
it's really gonna be
It's-
personality
It's
dependent.
not it's not a film that you laugh out loud at a lot.
Now,
A few times, but yeah.
Yeah, like there's a couple really funny ones, but
Have either of you seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox
No.
story?
yes,
It's hilarious.
It's very
Okay.
it's a very different feel than this though.
Definitely, but it's the same idea. So it
Mhm.
essentially spoofs Ray. It spoofs Walk the Line.
Yeah.
Because like right around before it came out, there was like
A whole series,
4 or 5
Yeah.
like really serious biopics. So like Jamie Foxx was nominated. I don't
Yeah.
know if did he win for
I
in
don't
Ray?
know.
But like there was all these, you know, the Johnny Cash one.
Yeah.
Like they all came out. So it basically just it was much like Spaceballs or something else, spoofed all of them in one movie.
Yeah.
So essentially in that one, like Dewey Cox goes through different eras of his career, and each era is a different kind of like spoof.
different film.
But it is laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
And it is like definitely, I would say, if you're a fan of that movie, you can get something out of this movie, but it's not as good. Like you need to understand that that movie probably cost, $30-40 million to make, had John C. Reilly, Tim Meadows, all those people. This is like a fun, it's Funny or Die, produced this one. So it's like, it feels more like a a movie made in 18 days.
Yeah, it really does. And that's
I still
not to
enjoyed
say,
it. It's just not great.
That's not to say that it's not an enjoyable film by any means.
No,
There are definitely a lot of I loved it from a lot of the the lyric Easter eggs that they throw in while they're having a conversation before they reveal the song that they're gonna do. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And, there's just a lot of little bits there, but it's not one of those films where I'll just say this: I love a lot of the Will Ferrell films. Just baseline
just from it, yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that's not the type of comedy that everyone has, but I love them because I just find them hilarious.
Sure.
And this was kind of the opposite of those kind of films.
Yes, absolutely.
In what way?
It didn't have the absurdist slapstick comedy.
It does not have a moment of just belly laughter, laugh out loud kind of
reactions. There are definitely some really good jokes in there.
Yeah.
But it's not on the line of there's not a joke a minute where you're just they're just building up and
boom,
building.
boom, boom. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Step Brothers is fantastic.
Now I will say
you need to watch Dewey Cox.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah,
it's really pretty good.
Well, first off, Jamie Foxx did win for
he did. Okay.
Ray.
I thought he did.
But picking up from that as well, I have broken myself and lost my train of thought. Oh no! But picking up from that as well,
yeah.
If you keep saying it, maybe it'll happen.
Maybe it'll trigger me.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah. If you are a fan of Daniel Radcliffe's work post Harry Potter, where he basically just said, "Hey, I'm just going to do whatever I want,"
yeah,
this can be a pretty fun film.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Or if you're just a fan of his pectoral muscles, get in here.
Just take your shirt off. Let's go.
Ripped.
Dude's yoked.
There's a couple times in the early part of the film where you're just man, he's got some pretty good muscles.
He's pretty fit.
No. I had that moment where I thought, did they digitally add abs on this guy to make it look even more unlike Weird Al? That I was like, that's my boy Harry Potter.
I think Daniel is just working out, man.
Yeah.
Spelliarmus.
Yeah.
Spelliabsis.
Yeah, and I will say I do enjoy Daniel Radcliffe just as a general actor, not because of Harry Potter, but other stuff he's done. And it was really fun seeing him in this film, just being able to just do ridiculous stuff.
I thought he did really good, too.
I thought he did fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's also not to take away from it, but I did see a bit of trivia where the other casting, if they couldn't get him, they wanted Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
And I was also like, man, he would have been great in this too.
That'd be funny too.
So I just bought a Powerball ticket, and let me tell you, that is $2. And do you know what the odds of my returns are? Can you see anything back on that?
Very slim.
Basically zero.
Yeah.
It's one in 400 million.
400 million.
Yeah.
It's absurd numbers. What if I could tell you that for half of that price, I could guarantee every month you saw returns? That's right. Sign up for our Patreon. $1 a month guarantees you access to all of our bonus episodes, minimum one per month. And that is all of them. So if you sign up next month, well, that just means there are more there for you to listen to. That does not mean
you can guarantee these returns.
I can guarantee
personally. Okay.
Personally, I just did.
$1.
Do you like to listen to people get mad at each other?
I know I do, because I was one of the ones getting mad
at everyone's favorite pastime? Reality TV wouldn't exist if people didn't enjoy that.
This is true.
Yeah. Well, you can listen to the three of us get mad at each other across a variety of topics. So the one thing I will say is that these episodes are very special. They're a different format. They're not like our normal episodes. We go out on a limb. We get wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pick some weird stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
It's not all movies.
No.
Could be games. Could be food.
Could be fast food. Could be who knows
Could
what.
be music. We don't know.
We get into all sorts of stuff.
And
these episodes
it gets contentious.
Yeah.
Andrew and Ryan are going after each other sometimes.
Yeah.
And I am not there to tell them to slow down. I am poking the bear.
He's just the dude with the stick.
You know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just $1 a month. Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to the show. Hope you enjoyed a quick little break. just in case you are not aware, that was your spoiler wall. It is all spoilers all the time about somehow you just don't know anything about Weird Al's life because you didn't go to Wikipedia. I don't know. It wouldn't help you with this anyways because it is just out there.
Yep. And by listening to
It is just out there.
Out there.
and by listening to this episode, we can just assume that Steven did not win the Powerball.
Yeah.
So
That's so rude. So incredibly rude. I'm gonna when this comes back, the point of this episode, this was the moment.
But yeah, okay, so we're talking about Weird Al, right?
Yeah.
Or Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
And so we're not doing actual scores here, but let's just go down the normal category list
Stick to the rubric.
into spectacle.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we think?
How do we feel? Pros and cons. What do we like? What do we hate?
So I would say the pros are that like it was competently shot and
Yeah.
edited. It wasn't like it was like
There's no real like moments of film,
Yeah.
and also no ugh.
yeah, no, it never looked like in the shooting and editing like it was like a cheap,
Yeah.
thrown together movie. It
In
seemed like it
18
was
days.
done with
No,
care.
they
Yeah.
saved that for other portions of the movie.
I do think the costumes were great too. Like
Yes.
they run the gamut on everybody, and like it really. I feel like that person needs some props because
Yeah.
they were able to make a lot of
On an $8 million budget.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
this actually is probably more of a passion project for generally everyone
Well,
involved.
you know
Oh,
what
yeah.
actually happened is Weird Al said, "Well, I have all these costumes. Let's use them." So we're gonna have
Right.
a pool party, and like, well, we're gonna have
Pee Wee Herman,
Pee Wee Herman,
Alice Cooper.
yeah, hold on, I got the whole
Wolfman
list here.
Jack.
So you
I
have,
don't know who that is actually. I didn't,
He's a radio DJ. You don't remember
yeah, radio
Wolfman?
DJ.
He talks like this right here, Wolfman Jack.
well,
when
then
Jack Black came out as Wolfman Jack, I screamed at my wife. I was like, "That's perfect casting."
Oh, I thought you were like madder, like, "Oh, you did this."
You made Jack Black play. No.
So this was the list of all the people at the pool party.
party, yeah.
So we have Devo, Frank
Yep.
Zappa,
Uh-huh.
Salvador Dali,
Yep.
Andy Warhol, Tiny,
Played by Conan O'Brien.
yeah, Tiny Tim, Pee Wee Herman, David Bowie, Gallagher, Wolfman Jack, John Deacon, John Denver, Divine, Elton John, Elvira,
Yeah.
Alice Cooper, and
Yeah.
Grace Jones.
I knew about half of those.
Yeah. What?
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 I knew all of that.
all of those.
The second
I-
that Grace
I-
Jones, I was like, "That's Mayday."
Like, I recognize like that some of these people are meant to be, a celebrity or whatever, but like Tiny Tim.
So he
I
was a
don't know
very
who that
obscure
is.
comedian in the 80s.
Yeah, see, there you go. I don't know who that
remember
is,
him.
yeah.
But that one was like I was like, "That's a deep cut."
Yeah,
Tiny Tim.
Yeah,
and
well,
this thing.
like Gallagher. Yeah, I know who this. I know
Gallagher,
who we're
yeah.
talking about here, yeah.
But yeah, Wolfman Jack, him being Blackjack or Jack Black was just
Blackjack.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Blackjack, Jack
But
Black.
yeah, so Wolfman Jack was just a DJ, like Casey Kasem. So he
Yeah,
was like
fair
very
enough.
famous. But he had this voice like this right here. He was like, "The Wolfman." Oh, oh, oh. And he was like, yeah. I do want to point out specifically for this scene, right? Where they dunk on my boy John Deacon, my bass player brother.
I
and
love that. It cracked me up.
The reason I want to point it out is because I had a music teacher in college that taught this specifically. That
Yeah.
John Deacon is like one of the most influential people in rock music, but everybody just
doesn't know.
Doesn't know
because of Freddie Mercury.
in the late 70s, early 80s, that's when people stopped caring about all the musicians in the band, just wanted to know the lead singer and guitar player.
Yeah.
And so
and then you saw that problem by having them be the same person.
John Deacon wrote in and entirely the music and the lyrics for Another One Bites the Dust.
Yep.
You're My Best Friend. I Want to Break Free. Now I'm talking composed and wrote.
Yeah.
Three of the most important rock songs in Queen's library, and therefore rock itself. And he co-wrote Under Pressure with David Bowie.
Yeah.
I love
And they're
how,
like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "This guy wrote half the best songs."
we found the moment in the movie where they had the parody hit, and Ryan's just like, "I'm angry.
Well, no. So what
I'm
I
gonna write a
couldn't-
1-star review real quick."
What I couldn't tell, I was telling my wife, I can't tell if they're in on that joke.
They
that,
totally
like,
are. There's
no,
no,
they
there's
are.
no way
All
they're
the
not.
people-
Yeah.
But the way they did it was so obscure that like you don't like that. I think what they should have done is been like, "What have you written?" And he's like, "I've written all these huge songs."
So this is getting
Yeah.
off on tangent because we're still technically in spectacle.
This whole
However,
movie's a tangent. Let's go.
Yeah,
Originally,
seriously.
Freddie Mercury was supposed to be in place of John Deacon.
Yeah,
Mm.
they couldn't
And,
get permission.
Yeah, and Queen did not give them permission for that. But then they were like, "Yeah, you can do John
yeah,
Deacon."
you can have John Deacon.
But he hasn't been a member since Freddie Mercury died. Like,
Yeah.
Mercury died, he was out, and then Brian made everybody else like, "Let's milk this. Let's get other people to be our singer."
But yeah, with and it actually worked out because the song he sings is Another One Bites
Another
the
One
Dust,
Bites the
or
Dust,
Another
yeah.
One Rides the Bus. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it is just kind of funny because he is a very influential musician.
Right.
And oh man, I love the last bit at the end of that where he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go play this thing called Live Aid. You want to
Yeah.
go?"
Oh.
Hard pass.
Hard
Cracked-
pass, which I'm like,
cracked
oh
me
my
up.
God.
Which,
Like,
it's weird because like that was technically supposed to be like in the early '80s, but Live Aid was in 1988, 89, I think.
It was
87?
something.
It was in the late
realm,
80s.
Yeah.
So it's weird that they like I don't know if
oh, they
there's-
were playing fast and loose with timelines.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy, were they ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Fast and
whenever
Loose is
that
everything.
I was, like so Live Aid is, if you're unfamiliar with it, is the Queen specific
Yeah.
Live Aid performance is considered the best rock performance of all time.
Live performance.
Oh,
yeah,
live
100%.
Live
period.
Aid is 1985.
Okay.
85.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
it's same year. Okay.
Dead
Close
center
finish.
of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but
There's a lot of good performances at Live Aid, by the way. I used to have that DVD. I
Mhm.
need to buy the Blu-ray of it.
oh,
but,
I'll
like
throw
Sade gets down at Live Aid. Man, there's some good jams there.
I'll throw on the Queen performance probably
yeah.
once every couple months because it's only 20 minutes long and it's just
Yeah.
phenomenal.
It was
And
inevitable that we would become a music podcast.
Yeah.
This is it. We're transitioning live.
Well, and the cool part about Live Aid specifically for that performance was no musician was allowed to sound check. So they just had
Yeah.
to go out and just play
Just do
and,
the
and
do it,
figure it
yeah.
out. So when you're listening to the music, well, you can hear feedback and everything, and that's them actively trying to fix it on
On the fly.
fly
Yeah.
during the song, which is just phenomenal.
It's crazy.
And this was peak Queen.
Pete Queen, y'all.
Peak Queen. Okay,
So-
anyways, we're back to
Tangent over about that pool's party scene specifically.
Yeah.
Though. Like I was like yelling the names of every person. I was like, Pee Wee Herman. I think that's Jorma from Lonely Island. And I was like, Paul F. Tompkins is playing Gallagher. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is all of just Weird Al's friends.
Yeah,
They
pretty
all
Conan
much.
showed
O'Brien
up.
is
Yeah.
like-
Well, and
Yeah.
that's kind of I think where a lot of like they're like I said, this is probably a passion
Well,
project.
it's,
for
it's, how, it's how
absolutely.
you make it happen for $8 million.
Yeah, so Weird
right?
Al just calls him up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to just do a cameo? I can't pay anything."
I'll be there. Yeah.
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 But yeah, Jack Black as Wolfman Jack took the cake for me. I was like, yes, that's perfect casting.
Well, it sounds like we're talking performance now.
I mean, we are like the spectacle was fine. The poor green screening during the LSD trip
Yeah,
was
that was
terrible.
what I wrote down
Yeah.
was like the green screen graphics on LSD sequence. Was it intentional?
Probably.
Yeah,
Why was it that bad?
It was
Yeah.
totally intentional.
But everything else, like
It was
outside
fine.
of that, was fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was serviceable. Nothing
Yeah.
excelled. But again, I did like the costumes. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
So
That was pretty
performance.
impressive.
I thought Daniel Radcliffe did a fantastic job. Basically,
For the character he's playing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And also, I did not note her name, but the lady who played Madonna.
Evan
Yeah.
Rachel Wood.
Evan Rachel Wood,
Yeah.
thank you.
She knocked it out of the park.
She
She was my performance
nailed
of the thing.
it. Like, sign her up to actually be Madonna in everything.
Yeah,
I-
she was killing
It's like,
it.
this is a
My
World War
favorite-
II movie, but also here's Madonna.
My
I don't
favorite
care.
part was when Dr. Demento was like, "Can we talk privately?" And he's like, "Whatever you say for her." He's like, "I think Madonna's a bad influence on you." And he looks at her, he's like, "No offense." She's like, "Just the hand wave." I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
"You're good."
perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, "This girl is," like, which I like her as an actress. I watched. I haven't finished Westworld, which they canceled it, but like.
Rip.
The first season of Westworld,
Yeah.
she was killing it on that. She's really good, like as an
Mhm,
actress. So like when she popped up as Madonna, I was like, "Oh, interesting." And she nailed it.
I
Yeah.
loved. There was one part of the movie where they're like walking out of a room, and he walks out first, and then she walks out behind him, and she turns around and
does
does
the
the
pose?
Madonna
Yes,
pose.
yeah.
And I just cracked up. It was just so ridiculous.
Well, and just the idea that like, Weird Al and Madonna had this like torrid, like scandalous love affair.
At peak.
Yeah.
Which they did not.
No, they
yeah,
did not.
but now she is one of I think the only artist that has actually requested him to do a song and wrote the catch lyric for the song itself.
Oh, wow.
So, Like a Surgeon was actually her idea,
So they like
and-
took
yeah.
that
and
wholesome thing and turned
Yeah,
it into
warped it.
this.
well, and it's just because like Weird Al was like, well, normally I do my own stuff, but this lyric is so good, I
Yeah.
can't not use it.
He was like, I wish I'd come up with that idea.
Yeah.
I also have to say, watching Weird Al be, the jerk for record label executive or whatever
Yeah.
was and just being mean to Daniel Radcliffe was great.
I
he
lo-
puts the cigarette
Oh. I got that
in
got
Will
a solid
Forte's
laugh.
hand. And that one's
Well, that
Oh,
and
I
also
deserve that.
Will Forte just like going off on him.
that was good too.
That was
Yeah.
good too.
I do love whenever at the beginning of that scene, whenever Daniel Radcliffe walks in, he throws him the tape. He's like, "Put it on."
Yeah.
And it's just it's so funny because like if you think about it from the perspective of like Weird Al, like in person in real life doing this to someone, like you
Yeah.
just can't see it because he's just such a nice guy.
Again, I think like performance wise, that's where Radcliffe nailed it because he went so anti Weird Al.
Yeah.
And it, like
Yeah.
again though, I think if you don't know that Weird Al is like that, you might be like,
You might just be like, well,
man, this guy was a jerk.
This is a
Yeah.
jerk. I also, this is very, very random, but the Like a Surgeon performance,
Uh-huh.
the two cone broad dancers,
Oh,
those
cracked
dudes are-
me up.
Getting it.
Them just like dragging him around and carrying. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So the one thing I didn't really like the dad.
See, I thought he was pretty good.
I thought he
I've seen
was-
that dude in a lot of other
Really?
comedies.
It was a good performance. It's just the kind of performance where you're just like, ugh.
He normally
Yeah.
doesn't play that hard nosed of a person in anything
Mhm.
I've seen him in. He's always like the comedic
Yeah,
relief
yeah.
of a scene. So it was interesting seeing him in this role.
trying to be the heel.
I kept feeling like there needed to be like like one extra line where he says something that's
Just
so
t-
absurd that it's funny.
Yeah, like that's kind of
Mhm.
like that's kind of what I mentioned earlier, where
Yeah.
it definitely feels that they could have gone like one edge a little bit closer
Yeah.
to just pure insanity.
Like that,
To where like whenever like he's like this super hardline dad just says something just totally ridiculous
yeah.
And
at the end.
this is looping back into Spectacle, but I did love the little bit of animation we got of like his
Oh,
Amish.
yeah, that was nice.
like-
Oh, that
Yeah,
watercolor
yeah,
style.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this
That was pretty
this
good.
is a nice style, nice little break, different, and it
Yeah.
feels kind of like some stuff that maybe we got in some of his videos at some point.
Mhm.
I couldn't say, oh, it's definitely this one. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
I do want to shout out the mom and that scene I loved the most was, can you just not be like yourself or do anything you love anymore? You know? Like, just-
Yeah,
that got a pretty good laugh.
I
out of me.
also the scene with the traveling salesman who actually did
Thomas Lennon.
so in real life, Weird Al did actually get his first accordion from a traveling salesman.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's awesome.
That was realistic up to the point
Wait,
when his
where-
dad started punching him.
But then whenever him and his mom are having a moment, and the dude's still on the ground,
Yeah.
just like wheezing, he's like, I think I have a cracked lung or a collapsed
punctured lung, yeah, whatever.
And he's just like, excuse me, we're just having a moment.
We're
here."
kind of having a moment over here. Yeah.
So I got to say, I don't recognize any of the actors' names, but the guys that played his band members, like his
Oh, yeah.
roommates,
Oh,
They
they're
were really
fine.
good.
I love like, every scene they were in. I was like, I love these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like those were kind of like the wide-eyed, ridiculous,
Yeah.
just like characters that you kind of expect of like the dude's like sitting on the thing
biopic.
reading,
Yeah.
and reading like an accordion magazine, and like they're so into it because like at first you don't know if they're like being sarcastic to him and like being mean,
Right.
but then you're like, oh no, these guys are 100% in.
The best part is at the biker bar where they just joined in. It's like, you didn't tell me you guys could play. Didn't seem relevant until now.
Yeah, that was great. I will say though, it did throw me for a minute, right? When the whole polka thing, like he goes to the polka party,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in that moment, I kind of looked at the screen with a bit of doubt, right? Because I went to a wedding for a friend. This
I thought he was
years
about to say he
ago.
went to a polka party.
No, no.
I was going to give you
I
a
did.
wedgie from across the room.
I did go to a polka party.
Come over
it
here.
was this wedding. we were at this wedding, right? And they're just playing standard wedding stuff, and
Yeah.
the dance floor is thinly, sparsely populated. But she's from the bride was from like the Midwest. I mean, she's Polish last name, and they put on a polka because obviously they given them something to play,
Right.
And suddenly the dance floor is packed.
Erupts.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
So I was kind of sitting there like, this could be a thing that happens in the Midwest. I just don't know. I'm not ready to cast doubt on this.
So whenever they were doing the I guess like the chicken dance or whatever, I clapped every single time.
No.
Oh, 100%. Like no shame at all. We were watching it, and I was just like every time.
Clack, clack, clack.
Yeah, but yeah, that was also another one of those moments in the film where I was like, I can't tell if they're being like if they're going to be mean to him or if it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're at a polka party. This is
No.
where he.
Yeah, it's almost we I mean we lack anyways because he passed away way before his time. But it's almost like we missed the opportunity here to have like John Candy in there, like polka polka polka.
Yeah.
I think to the film's credit, and again we're in performance right now, but this is skipping ahead. But like they stick to that theme of like they're always enamored with Weird Al.
Yeah,
The whole way through.
constantly. Yeah.
There's never anyone being mean to, except for Will Forte
Yeah.
at the record place. But the majority of everybody is like,
super
that's
supportive.
incredible. You know?
Yeah, and also as a note, just generally speaking, his parents in real life were very supportive of his.
Oh, very
of
proud.
his
Yeah.
Oh,
career,
yeah. So Brienne was asking that at the end. And I was like, yeah, like, look at these pictures. His parents obviously were surprised. That's the joke. This whole thing
Yeah.
is like, a farce.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to music, which is arguably probably the most important part
Music,
about this
the
film.
score,
The score of the score.
no score of
No
the score,
score.
but the score.
I mean, for me, like anything that wasn't a Weird Al song was just like kind of boring
Yeah,
and
it's
It's
fine.
kind
forgettable.
of there.
It was just like
Yeah.
temp tracks that fit.
Yeah.
It's fine, cool.
$8
But the-
million.
But
right.
the problem was,
Yeah.
we got a lot of Weird Al music. So
I was going to say, so for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
it worked. There,
I
there
kind of
was
wish
a
we
lot.
actually got a little bit more.
I would
I
have
do
liked
too.
a little broader because it was a
It just
very
hit all the
narrow.
hits.
Well, it was a very narrow perspective of we only got up to a certain point basically, and then we don't get a lot of the other stuff that I've listened to a lot
Mhm.
because it just they cut the story off there. You know, they're
Yeah,
like,
you
well,
don't get anything past like Amish Paradise.
Paradise.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
I really thought they were going to do Fat for a minute.
Yeah.
Like that fake out was great. Wait, Mom, what were you saying a minute ago? It's like we've moved past that. We're on to the next.
Yeah.
I did love the ongoing joke about Eat It and Beat It.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with my, it's like now everyone's gonna think that I parodied Michael Jackson.
I know.
that cracked me up.
What gives him the right?
Just banging the phone.
Like his whole career is parodying people that one person
Yeah,
fakely parodies him. Slamming that phone.
that was
great.
a good scene.
But yeah, all the Weird Al songs, I liked the way they worked them in. When they recorded
My Bologna.
My Bologna in a
So
in
that
a bathroom,
it
that
actually-
really happened.
It did
Yeah.
happen. Now
Yeah.
that was before he met his band.
Sure,
So
yeah.
he recorded it by himself, but it wasn't in like a bus thing. It was at
Yeah.
a bathroom like on his university.
Right.
yeah, but
But-
still, it had good acoustics.
It
Yeah.
also plays into the music. Like I haven't seen it, but the what's the Queen biopic that came out with Rami
Bohemian
Malek?
Rhapsody?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
They play fast and loose with like how
Oh,
all
they
that
sure
stuff
do.
was written and
Mm.
recorded, and like that's not
Mhm.
how. And so like that they were in this gas station bathroom. It's got good acoustics.
I love the dude like walking by them like
Kind of helps them by. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought all the Weird Al songs were great, and the
Yeah.
way they worked them in. But I too wish they had included more and some more modern stuff, but they cut it off. You know, when they did.
I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know if I was disappointed or not that it was kind of just like an overdub.
Well, I
of
kind of
Radcliffe.
found that funny though.
I did too. I
It
liked
added to the parody aspect, but I was also kind of like, man, I really want to see. I want to hear Radcliffe try one of those, like sing one of these songs.
So-
Who Danny Rad's give a
Yeah.
shit at it.
So he actually did learn how to play the accordion from Weird Al.
well,
Oh, wow.
he said in interviews that it's not very good. It's good
No,
enough
it's
to
not
pass
very-
on
yeah.
screen. He's not very good.
Yeah. But he did actually learn how to do it, so it didn't look like he was just flailing around.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the
Just
thing.
holding the guitar upside down or something. You just
Yeah.
let it slide.
Well, I had a couple of moments where I was like, "Are they really playing?" And then I was like, "No, he's
No,
not.
he's not
Those
playing."
fingers aren't matching the movements exactly."
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so we can move to plot, which is essentially non-existent. It's a biopic.
Right. Let's just
I
talk
just-
about some favorite scenes.
Yeah.
So that they that they included Pablo Escobar being a huge fan,
And
and
just
then
throughout, he kept showing up.
and then he has to go kill it,
And they really
and then
they
Madonna
really spent-
takes over.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time on Pablo Escobar.
They really did.
They
It
really
was
did.
Very shocking.
That was crazy. And then she's like, "We could take over the empire." And then she's like trying to shoot him as he's leaving, and she's just hitting cocaine everywhere.
Well, and then it's whenever he gets shot, and he's like, "You forgot one thing. I'm platinum."
Okay.
Yeah.
That actually got a legit laugh.
That,
from me.
yeah, I got a laugh out of that. I like at the end when she's got the eye patch and the
Patch,
scar, and she
yes.
goes, "Take the shot." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Or the
yeah.
dude's just sitting in the middle of the crowded, just full on
just-
belt
yeah.
fed machine gun.
I kept waiting too when he goes to the factory
Yeah.
to like, do what his dad does
Uh-huh.
or whatever. And he's like, "What do we make here?" And they're like, and it's like you never find out. I thought he was gonna start doing it and they were gonna be pressing out accordions or something. Because this is before his dad has the heart to heart
giveaway.
thing.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be like making a accordion. And so his dad lost the hand, and I was like, that would be why his dad doesn't want him to learn
Hates
the
it,
accordion. Yeah. But they didn't do that. But yeah, his dad shows him his Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
The sorry, not to dominate. One more thing, and then I'll let somebody else talk. When he's on the phone with his mom after he's really successful.
Oh.
And
Have you eaten your
he's
bread?
talking to her, and she's like talking about it. And then he's like, "Did Dad ever say anything?" "No, not really. He's a complicated man. Except for he does want to say that he's definitely not proud of you. He's very clear about that one thing." I was like, "That's awesome."
I really got a kick out of the the Doors kind of tribute, I guess, for that concert. Just because I just
You want to see
You
it?
want to see it? Yeah.
the other thing that I really thought was just wild was Dr. Demento
It's a real person.
is a real person
Yeah.
who dressed like that in real life.
Oh, when they did the
That was
picture
a
at the
choice.
end, I was like, oh.
I was like, oh, this is
Okay.
real.
I thought it was totally fabricated for this.
Yeah.
We made this role for Rainn Wilson. He's like, no, I was born for this role.
And Rainn Wilson is he's always just a funny guy.
Just
Oh,
horrid. Honestly, the cast and just the cameos are just kind of a who's who, right? We're
Yeah.
going back to
Yeah.
this, but that in terms of favorite scenes is just moments of Ryan sitting here being like, oh, they're at the pool party. Let me identify everyone who's playing this person.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rainn Wilson, most of the Dr. Demento stuff when he's just makes a statement and honks his own horn. Golly.
This guacamole tastes weird. Oh, it's full of LSD.
I did like the concert in the dive bar or the show in the dive bar.
Mhm. That was good.
Just because, like, it's always one of the, you have Patton Oswalt in there, which is
Oh, yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But
We don't sell ice cream. Well, you better. You got to know the song
I
ends.
got a good laugh out of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, it's just a ridiculous, like, you can't really,
It
it
is.
doesn't have a plot.
But I do think that, like, the interesting thing about it, with the exception of the torrid love affair with Madonna and the Pablo Escobar bits, a lot of it is like a hyper realization or a inverse of what happened in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
So he did record his first single in a bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
not with a band, but like he did probably get rejected by record companies. He clearly
lot.
did
Oh,
have a
100%.
relationship with Dr. Demento.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, like, there are all these parallels to his real life that creep in that is
Mhm.
interesting. So, I don't know. There's not really a plot, so to speak, but it does have an arc, and there is, like, a lot of fun stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I did like the cold open as well, with him, like, basically being pronounced dead. And then,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I thought that was funny. And I
Did he, in the cold open, did he have like the revive moment in the cold open?
Yes.
Yeah, he came up and said, give me a pen and paper.
They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. They should have let it like that. And
Yeah.
then like, oh, this is the story of his death. And then it goes through this. And then it just,
and then they ended
Yeah.
up killing
Yeah.
him anyway.
Yeah.
And I
Take
did
this
I did
shot.
like throughout the credits, like, you get actually real life photos of Weird Al
And also
parents
poorly
and everything.
photoshopped.
And then you start to
photos.
get badly photo. I was like, wait, now we're bleeding into like this isn't real.
Is this still a parody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we entertainment?
yeah,
here?
we're entertainment.
We're
Yeah.
just there, yeah.
It's fun. It's
I had a lot
a
of
fun
fun.
film.
Like, now that we're recounting it, I think I
had a
laughed
lot-
at it more
I
than
think
I
I liked
thought
it more than
Yeah.
I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to rush out to rewatch it.
No, probably
soon?
not.
And I will say, coming from the approach of like trying to explain this movie to Lauren, like my wife,
Uh-huh.
might be a challenge. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a poll with her of like, well, how much do you actually know about this guy? Like, can I, if she hasn't already listened to it at the point that this, like, can I pass this off? Yeah, that really happened.
Yeah.
I don't
He
know.
really
He
killed
killed Pablo Escobar. Did you even know who Pablo Escobar is? No, I'm not sure. Yeah, he killed him.
Totally.
Stone dead.
And
And Madonna tried to take over.
she has an eye patch now.
She's still running it to this day.
Yeah, the DEA top 5 most wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very fun film, and actually recounting it does make me feel that I enjoyed it more than what I initially
now that we're
thought.
talking
More than we
about
talk
it.
about it, I'm like, it's probably a good thing we didn't do scores for this because apparently I enjoyed this way more than I thought I did.
Yeah, because I definitely probably would have given everything relatively low scores.
We'd be revising the scores on the
Left,
fly.
right, yeah.
You know what? Wait a minute.
Bring it up a whole point.
Pull it back.
I will say though, I did feel like I checked like how much is left in this like multiple times. I was like, what is going
the
on right now?
pacing, I think, definitely has a lot to get used to.
Mhm.
Pretty much for like the almost like 3/4 of the film.
I think the thing to me that it could be improved upon, and the thing I would warn somebody if we're like, who's this for?
Yeah.
If you're not a Weird Al fan and you want something kind of like Walk Hard or one of
It's
these
not gonna
like
be that.
It's not
parodies, it's kind of that, and it's a comedy and it's absurd,
Yeah.
but it definitely. I think the two places where this could have been improved the most is tightening up a lot of the scenes.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they could have edited a lot of like just 30 seconds
Stuff
here,
like
Yeah.
10
long a
seconds here,
lot, yeah.
just to get the pacing tighter. And they should have punched up some of the scenes with like one more absurd thing or one more, like ridiculous twist at the end of it.
Yeah.
To really end that scene on like a hilarious note. There were some scenes that like the funny thing happened before the end. So it just kind of ends and
It
goes
just
to the
kinda
next
kept
thing.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fight scene in the diner was pretty great.
Yeah. That was
Where he's like
Oh
Madonna
yeah,
gets
when they
yeah,
kidnap
kidnapped.
her,
when he
yeah.
goes full like John Wick or whatever.
Yeah.
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 And he rings the bell at the end, order up.
ding.
Yeah, him dropping the couple of random like one-liners was great. With just like he's like, this is my own movie. I can be an action hero if I want to be. What if for this scene I'm Keanu Reeves? What if for the next scene I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, come on, like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely from like a joke perspective. A lot of these other films, which I haven't seen Walk Hard, but like any like Will Ferrell kind of style stuff, like old, like SNL crew, like it feels like they're doing like basically a whole skit in a scene.
Yeah.
And then it ends and you get the joke and then you move on to the next scene, where this one didn't really feel like skits. It just felt like the whole thing was the skit.
Yeah.
And you just have to find the jokes in there at times.
Yeah,
and
you're just along for the ride.
And there are clearly some really funny moments in the film, but it's not like a joke a minute where like it's like, oh, that's funny. And then you hit the next one, then you hit the next one. It's just like, that was ridiculous.
There's definitely like parts of it where it's like more functional, move the plot ahead.
Yeah.
And then there are some scenes that do end with the joke, but it's not every scene. And I feel like you're saying, like when you think of like Will Ferrell comedies like Anchorman, Step Brothers, or like Walk Hard, like those do feel like each scene ends with something ridiculous that moves on. You know, like it's like a self-contained skit in each scene that,
Yeah. But,
I still enjoyed it.
I mean, we apparently enjoyed it way more than we thought, because we've been sitting here cracking up like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I did not feel like watching it I was going to have that kind of, keep that kind of feelings towards it. I definitely felt like, man, like, am I going to be just brutal to this thing? Like, is this funny?
Well, I think maybe like throughout the process of us kind of talking about it, we figured out the reason why it's fun.
Like why it hits, or how it should hit.
Yeah.
And maybe as an individual,
And maybe that
watching
was
it,
the message the whole time.
Oh man.
Friendship was with us the whole way.
The real
just never
musical
saw
riches
it.
we made with the friends we made along the way. That does sound like all the time we have for this episode. Before we leave you, we do want to, get our final shameless shill in here.
The third one of the episode.
Now, if you liked what you heard, we do have a Patreon. You can always support the show. Helps us pay those hosting fees, and you definitely get some great entertainment in return. Just $1. Can't afford the dollar in these trying times. We totally understand. We would love a review.
Yep,
It's
reviews
totally
on
free.
iTunes specifically.
Specifically iTunes,
Yeah.
but anywhere that you're listening to this, any kind of 5-star review, give us a comment,
Share.
like, share.
Yeah. Follow us on social. If you see us post something, like it, share it.
Check
we
out-
want to get in front of more people.
Yep.
Check out the website, spoilersintendedpodcast.com. But that does sound like all the time we have for this episode. Until next time, I'm Steven.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ryan.
And as always, every spoiler was intended.
But yeah, I guess we can kind of wrap this up. But
Yeah.
It sure sounds like we are.
yeah, if you like Weird Al, you should probably watch this if you haven't already.
I
by
mean,
this
presumably,
point.
if you made it to the end of the episode, you've probably
Probably
watched
seen
it.
it.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah. Steven, you're the host.
I am the host. Thank you for reminding me of that fact. But on that note, that does sound like all the time we have for this episode. Until next time, I'm Steven.
Hold on. We're slating
I'm
this.
just destroying it.
This is terrible.